Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about patterns in dating and possibly how this can be viewed by other people and how people can be judged by their patterns. Specifically, I'm talking about like shorter relationships and relationships that you get into based on just an attraction. There's different types of relationships, shorter, longer, and being single, which is not a relationship. But I think all types of ways that you choose to be in this world, you can have soul growth. All of them are tools for soul growth. So I wanted to talk about attraction. Attraction, and this is, there's many different types of attraction, but it's a strong pull towards getting to know someone in a deeper emotional and or physical way. This can come across as like mystery about a person, fascination and intrigue, magnetism, and maybe possibly experiencing feelings and emotions that someone prompting you that you don't normally experience. So I might have an attraction to someone because I feel a certain way. All attraction typically presents as physical attraction, sexual chemistry, or something deeper, some deeper attraction to someone's energy or their life, like their aura, just everything about them. So there's different types of attraction. And attraction really says there's something to be looked at if there's any unhealthy patterns to heal. When you meet somebody, you typically come to a crossroads where you feel an attraction and you say, am I or am I not going to engage in that type of inquiry about myself? Am I or am I not going to go deeper with this person? Because attraction is going to lure you into engaging with that person in some sort of relationship. So there's a point at which I think a person, it may be very quick and it may be very subconscious, but there's a point at which they kind of look at risk versus reward in terms of a relationship and attraction. If you choose to enter that relationship, you are mirrored more material for healing. So assuming you have any unhealthy patterns to heal, emotional connection gives us the potential for bringing up unhealed emotional and psychological things to the surface. So the deeper the emotional connection, the kind of more it brings up things, it kind of triggers you for healing. So if you enter that relationship, the partner mirrors back to you different things for healing. If you do not enter that relationship, if you choose to continue to work, you basically continue to choose to work on things that you are already aware about yourself. So, and that is good too. Obviously, we need a good balance between being with people and getting that triggering and that kind of mirroring effect of what does or does not work, and that causes growth, or just looking deeper by yourself of the things that you already know that need healing. So, but emotional connection is the glue for when triggering shows us what we need to heal. The more emotional connection and depth, I think the harder and the deeper that you can go into what comes up. Because if you're not very connected with that person emotionally, you're not going to feel that pull to them and you're not going to feel like working through things. But the more you work through things, the more you can kind of see different aspects of yourself, which I think is a really cool effect of relationships. After a relationship ends, it's best to like pause and reflect on what you learned, because if you don't and you just go ahead and enter another relationship, you're just continually bringing things to the surface, but you're not able to adjust and gain like good perspective about it over time. So it's real important that if you do engage in relationships with other people or some sort of relationship, that this happens, this kind of lesson learning phase and reflecting back on what your part was, where you can improve, and recognizing what your part is and what the other person's part was. And that's very important because I think people can take on things that aren't theirs, or they can definitely turn a blind eye and not see things that are theirs. So it's really important in relationships to see clearly what went on. But let's say you have an obvious incompatibility with somebody. Let's say you have that attraction to them and you have this desire to be in a relationship, but you have some obvious incompatibility, some lifestyle thing, something about them that you know will not lead to a long-term connection. So basically, if you choose to go into a relationship with that person, the relationship will be based on how long the attraction can keep you interested to explore things deeper. When the risk or negative feelings about the incompatibility become more than the reward of the emotional connection, and more than that will allow, it will feel like it's over, and that you kind of have like a release of that pull towards that person. Hopefully at that point you've learned the things that you need to heal. And I do think that people need to be honest with each other when they begin a relationship or when they're deciding to, and say, hey, I just don't know if this can be something deeper, longer, something long-term or not. Because it's fine if you want a more surface, kind of shorter term relationship, or even long term, but kind of more surface oriented, that's fine. I just think that you got to do it ethically and communicate that to the partner. But if you pass the opportunity up to date that person based on incompatibilities, which is completely fine, that attraction that you had to them indicated there was something to heal, but it will show up in somebody else. It will come back around because karma is about you and your soul experiencing the effects of your thoughts and actions. And it is transferable. So if you hold your boundary and you say, I have an attraction to that person, but I know that it will not lead to something long-term. There's not a potential for long-term because of this incompatibility. That actually gives the universe time to line up something better for you in the future. At least that's my belief. And you can kind of explore that with somebody else and heal in that other way. So all our experiences with other people, especially romantic, are fine-tunements of our soul and of our karma. So when you look at people who date a lot, I think there's this fear that a person who wants to date someone who dates a lot might feel about just being another number, like another datee or somebody that the person has dated. And I think that, the person that's dated a lot needs to find ways to reassure the person. And, there might be really legitimate specific reasons, and that person might feel broken and not be able to date long term. But dating serial monogamous daters may also be exploring a lot of deeper things, and they need a lot of partners coming forth to experience those things. And who we become after we are with a person on a deep, intimate level, emotional, physical, spiritual level, is who we are. Like, if you like me now, it's because of those people that came before you. I would be a totally different person had I used dating and relationships in a different way and not experienced the relationships I have or with the people that I have. So I think it's unfair to judge a person. And I'm not saying that we don't all have ways that we judge, but I think it's unfair to say if a person has had a lot of partners, a lot of people they've dated and have never been married, that they can't be in a long-term relationship. I just think that there are things to heal. And through relationships is how you do that. So, and also through self-reflection and inner work that they do on their own, which is really important. But I always have to bring astrology into things because it's a passion of mine. And I want to say that people's birth charts, I see in my own birth chart that our paths when it comes to relationships and like our patterns our energetic tendencies are set up in our birth chart. Like I have Jupiter, the planet that brings expansion and supposedly good things and learning and wisdom. I have Jupiter in my 7th house of partnership and marriage, and it's supposed to be good placement. But I have it square Saturn in the 10th. So that indicates a lot of challenges, a lot of, kind of chronic, deeper things to learn. And I can only experience the abundance of Jupiter, which right now just brings me lots of opportunities. But I can't experience the positive until I learn those lessons. I also have a very fortunate, one of the luckiest placements in the birth chart. I've heard it's lucky, which is Jupiter trine Venus. So it's a very harmonious aspect between my two benefics. But again, I think until I experience growth, soul growth and change of Saturn, until I learn the lessons, I'm not going to get to experience the positives of Jupiter, unfortunately. So this is what I have come this lifetime to experience and to learn. So for me to have a lot of relationships is something that is going to provide me with soul growth, and I accept that. Hopefully one will eventually feel safe and like home and like I can rest in that and it be a long-term thing. So I just wanted to share that. Just kind of some things I've been thinking about lately.